from the last two speeches. I'm not in the best frame of mind really to do this. Anyway, all day long, you know, I felt like I've been at the wrong wedding. Honestly, I have. But since you've done that speech, I do remember you. I do remember. Before I start, actually, just a quick point of order. I know Becs usually does it. I understand there is a sweepstake. I hope you've all participated in this. I won't be influenced. And obviously, in the interest of impartiality, I haven't entered. But over the next 13 minutes and 48 seconds, I'd like to take you on a voyage of discovery to understand what I know about this man here. And in order to do that, I need to go right back to the beginning. And when I say the beginning, I really do mean the beginning of time, actually. So, I want you to cast your minds back about 4.5 billion years, which was when the Earth was formed, give or take a couple of weeks. The seed of life was already there in simple organic molecules in the accretion disk of the sun. And about a billion years ago, simple organisms started to photosynthesize on the planet to create their own energy. And then about 600 million years ago, arthropods appeared on the planet. That's creepy crawlies to you. And then about 400 million years ago, you know, fish, they came out into the land, and then we had reptiles and mammals. And then 200,000 years ago, we had the arrival of an upstanding forest-dwelling species that we know as modern man. But the next quantum leap in the evolutionary history of life was on December the 16th, 1969. With the arrival of Metro Man. It's a slightly more recumbent, urban-dwelling species who shops in Hollister. And I know what you're thinking. After all that time, is that it? That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I give you James Mills. Now, I have known James for about 25, 26 years, but actually, our lives were cross or entwined or connected before that, because I think we actually only found out subsequent to meeting that we used to be neighbours in Pembury. I used to live at the end of one street, and their house was literally less, sort of 60, 70 yards away. And I was a Cub Scout in those days as a young lad, and really? Bob Job week would come along, and they had a lovely house, and I used to think, I might get a decent Bob for my job there. And I actually used to go round to the mule residence in Pembury and do Bob Job. I was given I generally was given sort of gardening things to do. Maybe they didn't want me in the house. But, I don't recall actually meeting James, but I mean, it's just interesting that even before we met, I mean, I would have trimmed his bush and polished his But we probably met each other, say, about 26 years ago at a place called Buster Brown's, which is an American-style restaurant in Tunbridge Wells, and I used to make cocktails upstairs, and James used to make puddings downstairs. I actually thought when I was writing that, I thought that's a sort of poignant metaphor for our relationship. Anyway, James used to come upstairs after his shift on a Saturday afternoon, and we would, chew the fat, put the world to rights, and chat away at the cocktail bar. And then finally, I said, let's get this guy out. Let's go. I like this guy. He's a nice guy. So he came out with our sort of Tunbridge Wells crew. This is guys like Steve and Jason and Rog and that. And we brought James out. And the first thing that became immediately apparent. What a night! honestly, this guy, we were sort of fairly seasoned drinkers even by then, and this guy came out, a couple of baby shams, and he was in the red. Really?
Baby shams.
Honestly. And, I mean, it was almost like he hadn't drunk before. I mean, I know people drink to forget. This guy seems to have forgotten to drink. So it came out, but what we had here really was a sort of clash of cultures. I mean, James, he looked like a guy who'd had a well-spent youth. On the other hand, I had a really fairly misspent youth, really. I mean, by the time I was 14, I was able to shotgun a 6-pack of Special Brew, shoot an 8-ball clearance, bluff a pair of 2s, and I knew my way around the backseat of a 4 Cortina. But, I mean, James, he didn't even really know his way down the front seat of a Talbot Tumbler. And I had given an answer away here. There was a funny incident I remember going back a long time. I mean, this is the sort of thing we used to do as young people. James would come out and he would have a few drinks, and he would go into a comatose state. Essentially. I think we were at the Spread Eagle. We were at the Spread Eagle in Hawkenbury, and he had this orange Talbot Sunbeam outside. This is a sort of an iconic car of the age. And we came out. James was we had to carry him out the pub, and he was in a terrible state. And we thought, well, he's got his car outside. He needs to get home. What can we do? So we thought, well, we'll give him a hand. So we bundled him into the driver's seat of the car, and he was not able to do anything at all. So somebody was leant over doing the steering wheel, somebody was doing the gear stick, somebody was down doing the the levers, the acceleration and everything. And we drove a bit of the way down the road. I mean, it's terribly irresponsible. But I remember thinking at the time, wouldn't it that been funny? Well, I mean, funny. If it had been caught by a speed camera. You know, you get that letter. Okay. Can you say who was driving at the time of the event? I mean, he would have had to have said, sorry, officer, I can't do that because I was asleep in the driver. So that was. Anyway, so next came the harrowing event. I think harrowing is the appropriate word for our trip with Steve to Greece. No, 2-month trip. We were going to go to Greece for a month and then go travelling around Europe. And James came with us. Now, me and Steve used to do a bit of travelling together, and this is not like guided tours around the Louvre or anything like that. It's like downing cheap boxes of tequila and sleeping in luggage racks in overnight trains sort of travelling. James came with us, and we landed in Corfu first night. I mean, we had a big night, and James really fell apart. He was really out of his depth. I mean, the old Talbot Sunbeam, that was the thing. Grease lightning was now Grease frightening. And so I remember the first day of this trip, was first day of a 2-month trip. We went to a cafe, to sort of recuperate a bit. And James he got up from the table, didn't he? And he said, I'm just going to sleep. And he just lay down in a cab on the floor, and waiting staff had to all day long step over him like this. And that was, I remember looking at him thinking, Christ, people say you spend a third of your life asleep. But James is sort of spending about a third of his life unconscious as well. About 8 hours a day. I mean, I don't think he worked that time. I don't think he had time, basically. Anyway, and then we moved on to Paros, which is a bit of a party island, so we upped the ante. Now we've got really hardcore. So about a week later we went to Paros. And we had a massive night out in Paros, and that really knocked James back. He was just about recovering, and he was back to square one. He spent every day on the beach, just sort of, he was a broken man. I mean, a horrific sight, really. I mean, I said earlier that, creatures came out of the sea 400 million years ago. Well, I looked at James back now, but it seemed like only yesterday. But the next came even from this time, 1989. And we always talk about summer of '89. I'm sure there'll be a song on
Yeah, I remember.
a song with a similar name. It was an iconic summer for us, and we had a great time. Our friendship really was consolidated then, and it was a wonderful summer. And I have to thank James' father, actually, because we used to spend a lot of time over at your house. And I just got to say thank you very much for letting us have free access to your drinks cabinet, letting us sleep in your bedroom when you were away. Thanks very much. And by the way, you still owe me 30p for no bother. I'll let that go. Anyway, time rumbles on. And then James and I moved to London about the year 2000. We moved to Battersea. This is kind of an appropriate thing for Metro Man. He was kind of coming home to roost. It was his natural habitat. Quite likes the city and all that. And there's a lot I could say about London. We had a fabulous time in London. There is a lot I could say about it, but under legal advice, I'm not going to. But we did have a great time in London, and London was good for James. Because I remember when we first moved there, James he's always said he was in sales, and I always thought, well, he's probably involved in an open plan office and a headset sort of thing. But while he was in London, all of a sudden he sort of, sorry, I'm not really tonight. I'm on a yacht in Cannes, and his sort of career seemed to sort of take off in London, and things were going really well. I mean, the lights were bright, the wallet was full, everything was tickety-boo. But the old James was still there. Honestly. James used to have this thing, and I've always been fascinated by this actually. We would go out, big nights out in London, and then he'd go to work every day. James had this thing where he would grab some sleep at work, and he used to do this.
The power nap.
He used to do the power nap in the cubicle, in the toilet at work. He used, I mean, most people go out and get a sandwich, but James would be straight to the toilet and then grab some shit. He had this technique about it. He used to describe it to me. I couldn't quite picture it. He'd sit on the toilet and he would use the toilet roll holder as a headlet. This is a guy that doesn't need to fly first class. I couldn't quite know how it worked, but he used to do this regularly. And I remember he told me once that, I think this is true. I mean, I was sort of had a vague memory of this. He told me once that one day he actually flipped off. I think it was one of these toilet doors that doesn't go all the way down to the bottom. So you can imagine what it looked like from the outside. 3 feet poking out from the bottom. I don't know whether anyone actually saw it, but I'm sure he never wore those shoes again. But I mean, James already, James did very well. Money was coming in, all of it, and I don't think James ever lost sight of the value of things. But I mean, I thought that was quite a funny story with regard to the Rolex watch. But I didn't actually realise it was a present. I thought you assumed it was just a sort of a thank you for taking Becs away for B&B. This is a man that really is starting to lose. I'm trying to think what I can do. I mean, I fancy a Cartier tank. But I mean, James does work in advertising. Actually, he works in product placement. I think he did that a lot. I mean, I wondered whether there's going to be any product placement. All I would say though, James, is that this carver is very nice. Nice and refreshing, and $3.99 from all good outlets. Anyway, it turned out November 2011, London's game was to be East Grinstead's loss. James moved to East Grinstead. I mean, Samuel Johnson said that when a man grows tired of London, he grows tired of life. I think actually James just grew tired. He was just tired. East Grinstead, here I come. But he's bought a lovely house. He's self-settled with a lovely bed. He's bought the estate car. He's joined a golf club. Is it possible that James is growing up? Is that possible? I think maybe it is possible. But so, I mean, talking of golf, I can't really avoid a mention of James's sort of sporting prowess. I mean, that body doesn't come cheap. When we were in London, James was always in the gym. I'd phone him up, say, James, coming out to the gym. Oh, yeah, I'll be down at 8:30, I'm going to the gym. Yeah. And every time he'd come out after down to the gym, you know, most people who come out of the gym, they're sort of red-faced, you know, they look pretty knackered, basically. James would come down fresh as a daisy, you know, looking great. Sit down, give me a baby sham. And I said, well, yeah, I mean, you're some sort of fit guy, you know, what have you been doing it? You know, well, half an hour jacuzzi, half an hour steam, half an hour sauna, and that's it. This is a different approach to the gym. If you think of the demographics of gyms in central London, this was really more of a neurological workout than a physiological one, you know. I mean, Jimmy was a member of Fitness First. I mean, it was more fitness last. Or either that, or he misheard his personal trainer, which is operating a no pain, no pain strategy. But I'll talk about skiing. Skiing's something that I've done a lot with James. He's a very keen skier. I think skiing is in the mule blood, actually. Yeah. His sister is a very good skier. She's a very stylish, nice skier. Very good skier, Nicky is. James, not really quite as good. Not really quite as good. He's a bit more wooden. It's a bit, it's more sort of Herman Munster than Herman But and then there's golf. And actually, this is the thing that I've been stealing myself for quite a while, actually. And it's very, very difficult for me to show. I think James is actually quite slick. I think James. Sorry. I think James is actually quite a good golfer. There you go. I said it. He's really good golfer. But I mean, you know, the old days where we used to go and play golf. James is a competitive guy, and some of those rounds of golf, I'm telling you. The course would be littered with broken clubs and offended players. He was so. I mean, I've actually seen less aggression in bouts of cage fighting. I mean, it really was. Yeah. But he is a reasonable golfer. He takes it reasonably seriously. I mean, everything's relative. He's not going to give Tiger Woods any sleepless nights. Not unless he's on a works conference in Las Vegas. But anyway, I believe it is customary in these speeches to give the bride and groom some advice. This has been a challenging one for me to give you guys. I've been through the obvious ones with James, but I'll start with you, Becs. I mean, I think you know you'll be similar to a lot of women. That as soon as this day is over, you'll want to start the process of changing James. You'll want to rebuild him, reform him. You'll probably need to resuscitate him. But I know James well. I know James so well, and he is. I know how much of an independent man he is, and how resilient he is. And all I've taken is Becs is just be patient. It could take you 2 to 3 weeks. And you, James, you've already taken on board Becs as your wife. This is a new woman in your life. And
oh, quite so new.
This is, but the other thing you need to take on board is that there is another woman coming into your life. Do you know who that is? Absolutely. And I think there's This is a different challenge altogether. I mean, challenge maybe is a strong word, but what you need to do is give the pretense of patience, tolerance, and respect. And just don't make the same mistakes that I've made, James. I didn't speak to my mother-in-law for 2 years after I got married. It's not because I didn't like her, I just didn't want to interrupt her. You'll all be relieved to hear that. Really, that's really about it. All I have to say really is that James has been a great friend to me for 25 years, and something that Andrew said on the stag do, which I thought was, hit the nail on the head. Is he said that you're consistent. Yeah, you always turn up with a smile. You always care, and you're always there, and that is so massively important. And you've enriched my life. I can't tell you how happy I am to see you guys get married. I'm so honoured to be best man. And we waited 4.5 billion years for it. And was it worth the wait? I think it was. So I'll ask you to be upstanding and Mr. and Mrs. Mule. Mr. and Mrs. Mule.
Wonderful.
What did you say your name?
I did.
Mr. and Mrs. Mule, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice one, Mr.
Thank you very much. That's a bit fun. I think I've lost out. Me too.